story so far, after struggling with this game mightily and coming up with a map solution that helps deal with the jump gate situation, as well as tracking player information, which means very little at this point in the game. We have gotten to what I hope is the last video. Trying to cope with my battery here. What is the situation? We've lost one player. He ended up no crew, no planets, no way to get. I mean, it would be plausible. Somebody could have given him a restart, perhaps. No, he had no crew. He couldn't capture anything, even if it was empty. So he had no crew, no planets, and some money on board, but it doesn't help if you've gotten nowhere to build up a new military force, as it were, in the game. Struggles over this planet Wenian here, which is incredibly valuable, producing 250 money a turn, where every other planet so far in the game produces only 50. Well, those became sort of a key focus. Gray, who actually colonized it, got away with the money before Red captured it from them. But now Red is kind of parking on it and trying to milk it for enough money to compete or whatever. There are two ways to win this game. One is to get 7 planets under your control. The white player came the closest with 5. Right now there's a number of people with 4 each. And the other way is for all of the jump routes to be mapped out, essentially. And right now we're 1 jump route short of that, Zila. However, nobody wants to do that except people who think that they have a chance of winning. Figuring out if you have a chance of winning is kind of difficult. Cash on your ship is one clear indicator, and Gray thinks, well, I've got a good shot at it. But comparing that to other values would mean pawing through or glancing at the amount of money on all the other planets. That counts as well. And then the number of planets you hold is they're worth $100 each. So, Gray doesn't own a lot of planets, and thus they don't have a lot of money squirreled around on planets anymore. So they may not be in that position. However, they've got enough cash on board that they may just take a chance to get to Zella and try to end the game, thinking they'll end up in a better position than if they drag it out further, even though they have all this cash. We're going to start with the red player, and one of the things that we've started finding is the crew deck is really not sufficient to maintain a constant supply of crew in the game. And so that becomes another interesting limitation in play. All right. Knowledge of what there is needed for Uhune, and believes he can and has the stuff to colonize it after taking a big 400 4-card draw. Left a fairly meaty garrison at Weenon. It might be defeatable by someone, but it's highly unlikely. I could have left one that was absolutely undefeatable, but then I couldn't take Uhune, and I want to get that, and I don't know where Uhune goes after that. I'm not really all that concerned because I don't know whether or not I'll have significant troops or whatever after I expend, because it's going to take one of my big troop units. On a path that I think will lead them to their Zila, I'm not sure. Blue had just captured Enkius, bought the one remaining card, and this is all they have. I don't know what the fuck to do with this. Obviously, Enkius isn't all that important, so I can defend it lightly. I can look and see what gets there if I can find it. Not the easiest. Enkius. That's to indicate that it's colonized. Enkius gets me to Kudket, which I could probably capture. Where is Enkius? It's up here. Other things are further away. The problem with Kudket is there's a white ship heading there, which might not be happy about that. My cash flow is not good enough to justify anything else. What about Itarian? Okay, let's look at Kudket. Kudket has a fucking load of money. I'm going in. All right, so I'm going to leave Enkius empty because I don't have a huge force, and I will hit Kudket, and we'll see if I take it. But I leave it empty because I only had a couple of colonists left afterwards. If I had been able to regenerate a big force and whatever, well, I'd have stronger troops going in and feel happier defending it. Plus, I would have been able to leave some stuff at Enkius, which isn't a terribly valuable place. Neither's Kudket. It's just a matter of, hey, now I'm within 2. However, where does Kudket take me? It's a good question. It takes me to a fucking black hole, which means I'm not going to be making quick exchanges. Like, I'm not going to be able to buy a bunch of stuff and land another assault right away. So, probably not going to win off of 7 planets. Moves closer to Kudket. Possible danger there, which is that blue gets a turn before. If there are crew cards left for blue, they might be able to leave quite a garrison there, more than white can handle to take it. However, this is what you have to do when you're moving around on the board. Once you choose to leave the jump lines, you got no quick attacks or anything, so everything is delayed. That battle meant that yellow, who is positioned here at Ralter, was able to build up quite a force. Now, in order to figure out what happens, I go from my free move is from Ralter to Helios. Helios is up here. It's been left alone for a while, so it probably has a pile of money on it. It does. So yeah, we're gonna build a good military force and go in there. Now, here's where play order really starts mattering, because the fact that yellow attacked something means red will have cards available to them. Of course, I'm flying, so it doesn't matter, which means then gray will have cards. Flying doesn't matter, which means blue, the person who needed the forces to reinforce Kudket, will have those forces. But now yellow is also within 2 of being able, well, they need 2 more planets to win the game. It's kind of interesting. Games which allow for, 2 kind of wildly variated victory conditions, and this does. One of them is collect up as much money as you can and hunt down, and at this point, this one last planet. That's one way to win. And then the other way is make the race for the 7 planets. And if you get that, whichever one is what it is, it just, they're completely different, and you've got to keep your eye on it, like 2 different ways of triggering the end of the game. And it's not just, one of them is an automatic victory that does not reflect necessarily much to do with the other one, where gray is actually well placed in terms of total amount of money. Now, the total amount of money victory, it's very easy to rank where everyone is. It's much, much harder when somebody hits 7 planets. What do? You rank them by planets? Because that's the thing that won. That, I don't know, it might make sense if you were within 1 close to winning. But I think you can't really get a good ordering as to where the different players, sit in the game. Of course, that's the fun of the after-game discussion, right? Blue picks up all the cards there are, which is just 3. That doesn't give me a very good defense for Kudket. Oh, where does Kudket go again? Goes to black hole number 2. Black hole number 2 is near Enkius. There's not a lot of money there. What about some of my other planets? Falaron here has a decent amount of cash on it. Jana has a decent amount of cash on it. These are things I wouldn't have to fight to get. So maybe it's best if I abandon Kudkat and go for cash, and I will go to one of these two directions. I can't completely abandon Kudkat. What do I want to put there? That's enough to kind of scare people, I guess. Too much, white goes in, trashes Kudkat. Basically, it's a matter of, well, you know, if I don't take a chance at it, I'm not going to get anything, and I've wasted some time. So I've got to take a shot at it, and yeah, there wasn't much there. So now I own it for whatever that's worth. I've got a bigger force there, though, so that's kind of cool, at least. Then on yellow's side, I'm here at Helios. I bought the remainder of the army. And of course, I'm spending things that might be necessary to win the game. Like, when gray makes it into Kudkat, they're on their way. I don't know where the fuck they're going. I guess they're going to Iteron or something. I want to get down here to Zella and end the game before my wad of money becomes completely unimportant. At least I'll place relatively well once I exchange that. But what is yellow doing? Yellow is sitting on Helios. What I'd like to do with yellow is maybe collect up some cash, although maybe that's not that important. I have a fair amount. I have a number of planets. Helios gets me to Uhune. Yellow doesn't know shit about Uhune. Red is heading for Uhune, which makes it somewhat less pleasant. Uhune may be the way into Zella, which might not be what I really want discovered anyway. So, do I know anything about Kismiel? I do, medicine and linguist. I don't have that. I have a bunch of combat in my hand. I'm not near a bunch of combat. Uhune puts me closer to interesting stuff, so I'm going to drop this at Helios. It's not much of a defense, but, you know, it's all I have. and go into Uhune, I guess. Which means I check what it has, because I don't know. Science and Astromarine. I have some combat in here, but I don't think no, just Star Soldiers. So I will write that down. Running down low enough that I'm going to pause for a while. Thing. I just realized, hey, another means that one could record who knows what is to put some kind of marker, like the flags. I actually saw my tiddlywinks, but I don't have enough of these colors to represent them. On uncolonized planets cards. I don't know if that would work very well. I feel like writing is working pretty well compared to trying to represent more around these edges. It's already pretty cluttered, for one thing. But for another, I don't really feel like the lookup between, the lookup between this and this is pretty good. The lookup between this and anything is impossible. So it's like one of the things works well there. Now, the one advantage is if you know the name of a planet, you can find it because they are alphabetically ordered. So maybe it would work better to mark things that way. On the other hand, if you're looking at multiple planets, or you're looking at, hey, I have this stuff. Do any of the planets that I've discovered work that way off that stuff? I think the writing works better. It just shows the stuff that you know, as opposed to having to search around the board to find it and then flip over the card and look at it and all that. So I think that's a worse representation, but it's another option that's out there. Shift's direction, it looked like I was heading for Ohune. I have info on Ohune, Science and Astromarines. I don't have a scientist with me. Did I fuck something up? It's possible. No. I don't know what my hope was in heading in that direction. Can't really remember. Was there something that Ohune goes to that I wanted to go to? Is that where the key was here? Oh, geez, this is so fucking hard to read. Ohune goes to Quilar, and that takes a science, and again, I have the wrong thing. So I don't think that's where I wanted to go. I'm not sure what I was doing in that direction, but I'm going to go back and take myself Roltor. Gray moved into Kudkat and have 1 strength point, and there's a defense there, so I can't take it. As the proud owner of Kudkat, and I collected my money and my troops from there, and there's nothing new that I can build. Where does Kudkat take me? I don't remember if that's why I'm here particularly. Kudkat takes me to black hole number 2. That doesn't sound promising, but it might be. Eterion, Helios, do those really interest me? What am I trying to do? Balzar is not very rich right now. Black hole number 2 is actually maybe not bad. But I don't, like, if I abandon Kudkat to, like, just a limited amount of force or take all my forces out of it, but there's a chance that Gray can take me. I don't know how many cards he has. Okay. That's a general consideration I have. I might remember that he's fucked. Maybe he made things to say that he was fucked, but you don't know how much you can trust all that ever anyway. So I don't know that I want to go there. Where does Balzar bring me? Balzar brings me to a different black hole down here where I'd be kind of close to ending the game and whatever, but again, I'd have to attack things. Well, Talus is what I want there. And Talus will get me to Arminian. You know, that sounds pretty promising. I think I'm going to leave my force here and move back towards Balzar, which is where I just came from. But it actually makes sense. There's a lot of money sitting on Talus, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 500. At Ohune, which could get me back to stuff that I'm near. That doesn't seem terribly promising. This is white and is tasty, and I have a full pack, so I'm going that way. I didn't want to play for very long, so 1 round seems good for now. I got some shit going on in my computer as well as some stuff for Raid I got to do. Pulling away some time from Raid. I've got the game playing itself right now. Sometimes you can let it do that. Red moved into Rolter and took it back at some cost. That replenishes the pile. However, the next player up, Gray, unable to take advantage of it, jumped into a black hole, which isn't anywhere near as bad as it might sound. The next 3 actually were all in transit as well, without planets to deal with. For example, yellow moving towards Talus, which looks rather the same color as this to me, but it's not. That relates to the yellow. I think I've brought this up before. It kind of bugs me, but I'm using mixed pieces from different sets. Blue moving towards Darien to pick up, and who was the other one? White moving towards whatever this is, Balzar. That's a pickup and also, I think, an attempt to get to Talus, but it'll be too late if it does so. The Rolter path to get it to Helios. I didn't have a hell of a lot of money left, right? I spent a lot to build up my forces here, left a lot there, and now I'm operating, not even able to buy, the cards that were there. I was only able to buy 2 cards. I made an attack with only 3 cards on Helios, but Helios has been ignored for a while. There wasn't a whole lot of money on it, so it couldn't have been ignored for too long. But it certainly hasn't been, it wasn't well defended, let's put it that way. It had a couple points on it. Heading on their way to Tarion, blue heading towards Darien, pickups here. White made it into Balzar, collected up their cash. There's a force there. I'm going to have enough money to buy more stuff. Who knows what that all equates to. I got 3 more planets I got to put down, same as blue. It seems we had a couple of people get down to just 2 more planets, and that caused, a lot of violence, along with some other things. For example, the Wenian, the amount of money that was collecting up there, and the thought that it wasn't well defended, was definitely an issue, although the money got taken by the owner, so I guess it's not that horrible a thing. I think Gray is still working their way to Zella, but I can't remember, But, the plan was clearly to get to Etarian. I think Etarian, well, that gets me back to Wenian. But it gets me to Vel something or another, which is owned by me, which is relatively close to Zella. Not terribly so. Perseus, which might be up there. I don't know, but I'm trying to end it and just not paying all that much attention anymore. Anyway, yellow just pushed into Talus, and I believe we're going to attack Talus. Probably with everything we got. So Talus, yeah. I don't get to look. I made the decision to send everything in just because. Okay, so I will send, I guess, the Star Soldiers. I don't want to lose points. Heavier pieces are better in this sort of combat phase that we've entered into, but white loses that. Yellow ends up in there. I don't know what the plans are for this. It's also possible that maybe yellow's trying to end this. Again, they've got a lot of planets. How much money do they have kicking around? It's kind of hard to tell. I can see how much they have. It's less than this, or in that same range. It's a little more than that, but I do have this. This is reds and not grays. I don't know that gray has a lot of money. So yellow may actually be in a position to go for the win here after that collection. And again, it's like whoever expends the effort to get down here gets it. It ends the game if they wish. An interesting position. Not a lot of cash. I bought up a couple of cards, filling things out. But, this is barely enough to defend Helios. Now, I'm collecting up cash like mad over at Wheaton. There's another factor in play here, which is if we're getting close to the end of the game, if somebody's going to end it, of course, it won't be in their best interest if I surpass them because of this tactic, right? But if somebody else is about to end the game, then the best move would be not to spend a lot of money, probably. Because again, the money that you spend to capture a planet in terms of cards and whatnot, it's 100 per card. You're probably going to lose a couple of cards. It's worth more than the value of the planet, and maybe more than the value of the planet plus a little bit of production. If you don't get the production, if you don't get to keep the planet because it gets taken away from you, that's another story altogether. But in terms of that kind of balancing, I'm not sure what to do with red. Like, I don't have enough here to be able to launch a really valid attack, like a strong attack on anything. But maybe it's worth taking a chance. Now, Helios takes us to Uhune, which is not far from Zila, positioned to end the game, right? But I don't particularly want to. And then to Quidar. I know about these, science. I don't have one of them. So the question then becomes, well, how can I get back close to Wenon, both to defend it? Well, Uhune is pretty close. I'm not going to get much closer than that. And I've got Ralter here too, so I've got multiple value streams. So I'll go there, and I will check Uhune just to make sure. Yeah, I got half of it. But I think that means, don't worry about the checking. I think that means I want to leave this entire stack at Helios. Helios is not particularly valuable, but it's not all that easy for me to get to, is it? Well, Ralter gets me there, so I don't know. I mean, this is the path, right, that'll get me. Where does Wenon get me? Wenon gets me to black hole number 1, which is up here. Yeah, I don't know. But I know I'm making that jump. Blue just moving along, although blue's getting close to Darien, which is a pickup. White jumped to this black hole because where they were, Balzar, didn't have a lot of options. Now, it did sort of. Armenian, I could have sailed out towards there, but nobody seems to be heading that way, I think. Hard to tell. Talus. Somebody's in Talus, so. But if they're going to Armenian, I'm not going to get the pickup. they're either going to go in and wipe it out or not. Anyway, maybe I made a mistake. It's hard to remember. I walk away and I lose the habits immediately. It's the next day. And in addition to somebody like red or white, white built everything they could. But red not having the money to buy a lot of cards. Well, now yellow didn't have the cards. They had enough money. So they also are looking at a limited set. I look around, I've got 4 planets. That's about 400. I'm trying to see, am I in the running against people like red, gray? I think I'm in the running against blue. It's hard to tell because if I am, fuck it, I'll just go for it. Actually trying to figure out the total value seems insane at this point. And I would like to get this thing over with. But I don't know. And what do I know? Kismal and Uhune, Science, and Astro. I don't have that. I guess I have a reasonable fighting force. And I'm just trying to look around. Yellow has money at Saigon, which is somewhere I would love to go. And it's not that far, but it's easier to get to Armenian and grab the more money there. So I guess I go for that. I'm going to leave minimal here at Talus, which, it's going to get taken, but that's sort of the flavor of the whole game. I've got too limited a resource because of what is kicking around. And now Armenian here, I'm going to dump the whole lot to see what I get. Okay, well, that was cheap. Now, with that capture,
because it was a pile of money there. I do feel like I'm in contention now. I felt like I was a little behind before, but now I'm in the wrong place, right? You know, Velcron gets me somewhat close. That's a couple of jumps down. You know, I don't know. And I may not be in the running after other people collect. The fact that you have to kind of pause from your collecting money because there doesn't seem to be a jump going into Zella since all the other jumps have been detected. I mean, and that's probably pretty likely, you know, that the one place that's left over is going to be some backwater that's not on the jump routes at all. Means that someone has to be significantly ahead or in a position like I think Gray kind of feels like they are, where they're not generating a lot of cash, but have more cash on hand, and they're just like, well, this may be the best position I can be in at this point, so let's finish this up as quickly as I can. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very hard to achieve the 7-planet victory, and it's really, really like there's this constant struggle. And you see this in games of this era where they may not end because everyone can kind of knock the leader down enough or hold them off by picking things off, especially with something like, you know, a fixed victory condition. But this doesn't just have that. This has the another way of ending the game that anyone can kind of take. That's kind of nice, because if you're just screwed in the game, the hell with it. I'm just going to end it. And you can let everybody know and let them plan for that, but whatever. And I feel like Gray is in that position in a certain different sort of way, which is, hey, I may be able to do all right if I go in there. I may even be winning. The problem is Gray could maintain position on everyone except Red, who's sitting on Weenon right now, and, you know, collect up money. So they may lose. So they may be in first place right now. The trip to Zala may drop them down to second. They could probably kind of guarantee themselves second by just bopping around the galaxy. Now, if Red holds on to Weenon long enough, it is worth it for them just to go in and end the game. So eventually this would end, I think. Like, the one exception to that, though, is if a couple of people go into Blast Weenon, but there's not an easy way to transfer money. So the deal that I would see with that is a couple of people say, look, he's got a garrison there. Well, let's both go in. I'll hit it first. I'll wipe out all my forces. You hit it second. You get all the cash, but then you leave that cash on a planet that I can take. We'll be close to each other. You can, or you leave me Weenon, you know, or something like that. Some kind of deal to come to a mutual arrangement. But the thing is, this is so valuable, both the money that'll be piled up on it and the planet itself, that whoever does win may just wander away. Of course, just winning it isn't enough. You'll have to sit on it for a while to build up enough forces to defend it, because otherwise you're not going to have much left after even that second fight, I'm assuming. Running quickly through, Red heading off in transit to get to Weenon, work their way. I don't know, it might make more sense if I went to Landorf, but I got no easy way to get there, unfortunately. So I'm looking at kind of this little section being my wealth section. Gray and Blue both arrived at destinations. Gray at Iteron. I have good money sitting at Iteron and at Velcrom, or whatever it is. But Velcrom is definitely going to fall to White next turn. And unless I'm at Iteron to Velcrom, it is. I can actually get there before them and block that attack. Ooh. Again, the movement is, you know, it's not completely like, you can figure it out. It's just the layers that are in place in terms of trying to figure out what the topography is are enough to make you make these mistakes regularly. And I almost feel like that's a feature of the game. I think I said that. Blue reached Darien. I don't know where the hell that goes, but I wanted the cash from there. That gets me to Enkius, which is another planet of mine that I can collect cash for. Like I said, white is heading for Velcron, but they're going to lose that race. And yellow, well, yellow is who I'm on. Yellow can jump to Iteron. I'm a turn short, and I'm off. Which means what? Which means I could run and steal the white stuff at places like Balzar, or I could go for Enkius, but I just heard that somebody's heading to Enkius. Helios, there's almost nothing there. I don't really have a good option. What about from Iteron? Is there stuff there that I might want? Well, Kismiel, who am I? I'm yellow. Yellow, medicine and linguist. I'm not sure I really want to be colonizing stuff now, though. There's a cost to colonizing that may not be recovered if the game is about ready to end. And that's problematic. It'll take me like 4 turns to get to Balzar. By the time it's there, there's going to be a 25 on it. Of course, if somebody goes to Enkius, they're closer. Shit. This is just ugly. Nistrium and Saigon, that's my money. Where does Helios take me? Helios takes me to stupid places. How do I get back to Nistrium and Saigon? Saigon, I get to through Kismiel. And maybe I can rearrange at Kismiel. So I'm going to turn and head this way, I guess, taking a military force, unless there's something I need for Kismiel, which of course I'll fucking forget. Medical and linguist. I need a medical. Maybe I'll remember. I doubt it, though. I really doubt it. Yeah, there's definitely this painful sort of balance between, hey, do I want to spend, the money at this point? But just not seeing anybody ending, especially with Gray coming into Velcrom. I just don't think that's going to happen. I got to swap batteries. So the lack of the crew cards is really causing problems for people. Red heading on their way, no biggie for them. Gray makes it into Velcron. They dump their entire force there. If White wants, and it was empty before, so if White wants to hit it, if White has a strong force, they will hit it. I don't think they do have such a strong force, though. They may choose to anyway. They will lose, though. I mean, 2 is kind of the average, well, the median of the cards. The average is, I don't know. I don't know if it's, I haven't seen enough, and I certainly haven't calculated it out. It's probably close to 2, though. So that's an interesting choice. Does White decide, you know what, I'm so out of this, unless I can take Velcrom. But Velcrom's worthless now. That's the thing. You get beaten out by something like that. Now there's a big force there, and no payoff. Yeah. Gray got the money out. They lose it. Okay. It sucks because I would have lost my fleet. Now I have to go, my troops. Now I have to go somewhere else and collect value. Another option would have been for Gray not to really defend it terribly much and keep an offensive force. Depending on where Velcrom goes, Perseer. It might have been, or Perseus, it might be worthwhile. And Blue failed to do their jump. They did not make their jump. So they're going from Darien to Enkius. Enkius is theirs. And that allows me to pick up this cash. Dump my force in there to defend it, just in case. But yeah, now white's got this tough choice. So blue's collecting up their money. You know, that's great. They don't really have any strong problem facing them. But they also don't really have a shitload of cash kicking around. They got some, and they got a reasonable background amount that, you know, hey, if I stumbled really close to Zella somehow, maybe it would be worth it, but I'm not going to work my ass off to try to figure out how to get there. I don't feel like I'm in the lead. 1 in 6 chance. Does white want to go in there anyway? But you know, white is so bad. No, there's just no value. Who owns Talus? Is that worth anything? There's no money on Talus. There's money on Saigon, but I'd be behind on that. Quizlar, do I know about Quizlar? I do not. But all I have are fucking colonists. That's not going to help me. Where does Velcron take me? It takes me to Perseus, which isn't close to anything that I can definitely take, but it is close to things like Janus. So, you know, I'm going to sail in there anyway. Gets me closer to everything, and not attack, because there's just no value to it. Right, and finally yellow just pushes down. But I really feel like I'm at some sort of key point here, because gray has collected up over 3,000. I think they're in the lead at this point. Now, that's hard to tell. This money was in Velcrom before. Had I made it there before, it would have been good enough. I'm looking around to see what we've got, though. Red's got this. That's their main source of money. Blue has a little bit of money still parsing about, getting them over 2,000 easily. They're kind of in the running, but you know, you got to make that kind of judgment, because it's going to take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns to end the game. Now, I'm still going to make some money. I have 2 planets. I'm going to make 100 each turn, but that's going to fall well below 7 turns here. That's going to be almost 2,000. That's going to almost catch red up to me right there on Wenon, assuming nobody goes for it and does anything. But I can't see doing anything else, especially since I was kind of forced to Velcrom instead of going in any other direction. Now, I could go, well, I mean, I could go run for Saigon, you know, try to steal that from yellow. But yellow would be able to steal it back. Is it yellow? No, it's white here. White would be able to steal it back from me, because I will have wasted my forces on it. By having a couple of ships in the same area, that's kind of problematic. I'm going to pause a little bit here, although I kind of want to keep going because I feel like I understand what's going on really well right now, but I need my breaks. It continues to move towards Wenyan. Gray, the timer's ticking now. I started moving directly towards Zella. I could have made an attack on Talus. I'm not taking any troops with me. This is like, you know, so telegraphed, everybody knows the game's ending now, if they're paying attention. But, you know, there's so many things where, but let's say the scuttlebutt is clear on this, and that everybody has agreed he's going for the end. Because there's absolutely, so Talus, he might hit. He might be going for Uhune, but the danger here is, yeah, it's time. And what does that mean for the various players? That's hard to tell. It means that attacking things starts, unless they have a lot of money on them, becomes less and less valuable. And the fact that you're not going to recover your crew cards and everything is part of the reason that Gray moved forward with this. They're like, I see no way of improving my position. Obviously, I could hit Talus on the way even, extending the amount of time, but there's almost no money there. It just doesn't seem worth it. So the end is nigh. So my battery over there, I swapped, I turned it upside down, and I have to switch which plug it's in.
And that looked like it was going to work. But now it's back to green, which means it's not actually charging. What happens is sometimes the gravity helps if you turn it upside down, but it wasn't working here. And it's easier to manipulate when it's in that top slot and get it to where it's charging. But, all right. Certain is that it's not worth going around and collecting your stuff unless your stuff's threatened. So Blue just collected their money for Enkius. That's fine. I have a fair-sized force there. Could Ket has some money, and I would be able to beat that. I would be able to get there. It doesn't go anywhere good. It's probably not worth me going to Janus 6, even though I got a whole pile of money there, unless somebody is near. Yeah. You know, here's the thing. If somebody was at Falron, does Enkius go to Falron? I don't think so. If someone was at Falron already, they could get to Janus 6. Or if they're on that route, you know, and you back that up and take a look. Falron takes me Gideon 8, Moteless, stuff like that. I don't think anybody's in any of that. So I think my best move is to collect up all my Enkius troops. Leaving it open. And head up this way. I don't think anybody's positioned to take Balazar, but again, the only way is to check this. Oldkin goes into Balazar. Oldkin is a starting point as far as I can tell, although Zila might connect to it, but yeah. White was at Valkrau, heading, I think, to Perseus. Perseus would put me here. Janus 6 is a possibility. That's wealthy as hell. Could I make it there in time? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I could. Another option would be to go for Saigon. Saigon is also wealthy as hell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where does Saigon go? It goes to Nistrium. So that would be 6. How far is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. I would not get Nistrium. I think I'm better off going for the Janus 6, right? Because what comes after Janus 6 is Darien. Yeah, there's a whole realm of stuff, and I'll be stealing from Blue the whole way, assuming I can recycle troops, which is a big assumption. So Velcrom to Perseus. Oh, is in an interesting position. If no one takes yellow, and this is white, not yellow, they only need 2 more planets. Yep. We lost another backing, didn't we? These keep falling off. Pretty soon they'll all be gone, eh? I'm saving them because I could glue them back on. I don't know if I give a shit enough. Like I said, I didn't even clip this because the pieces were in a big bag and I wasn't sure. The money is useless. They're side mounted and they're falling apart, which means, you know, either I glue them all or half of them are going to fall apart after I clip them because the glue that holds them together is not in good shape. And the same issue with some old Avalon Hill games too. War and Peace comes to mind, the original. I have the new version. I was all excited and gung-ho about playing it, and I looked over what the changes were. There's some to the campaign game which is vital, but I'm left with 2 things. One, I don't really understand the tactical manipulation in the game. I'm often, I want to give it a good shot, but it doesn't, the designer, Mark, I can't remember his name, he's done a lot of Napoleonic games. I've often looked at War and Peace as sort of a challenge from a different angle. Empires in Arms won my heart, you know, with all the diplomacy and all the special rules in it and everything.
But then I started to think, I actually think that there's a lot more to War and Peace than there appears to be. And I don't know where I got that impression in terms of being able to do the tactical maneuvers with multiple stacks converging and stuff and bringing them into battle. That it was really, really exciting to me at one point, what you might be able to do with it. And Mark McLaughlin is the designer. And then, I got this one, and there seems to be evidence of actually some hints on how to do that. But honestly, I don't quite understand them. I'm really not sure that. I don't know if it's bullshit, basically. If a big stack is still just better than this sort of dispersed formations that he suggests. Now, the dispersed formations are great for moving and whatnot, but for the most part, when you're dispersed enough, it doesn't matter. You can just be spread out all over the fucking place. And these other formations that are, more historical appearing, with little clumps of troops in different places and reactive capabilities and whatnot, they just honestly don't seem to have, unless the rules have changed in ways that I didn't see, they don't seem to have this capability to react that I really thought that they should in terms of reinforcing. You have to play with the optional rules for all of this to work, of course. Where am I? What am I stuck on? I was trying to explain something, I think. Yeah, so yellow actually has a shot at winning the game. And again, I think everybody's kind of noticing it now. This is one place where people, where a multiplayer game can be kind of interesting, because in a way that I don't really address, and I know that was one of the complaints. The fact that yellow noticed, hey, I'm close to winning, is what triggered everyone, me to know, and essentially, hey, as soon as somebody else notices, they'll chime up, hey, he only needs 2 more planets. The problem here is, unless you have piles of money, if you have piles of money, you're okay with what gray is doing. Maybe you win, maybe you don't. But everyone else, they don't really care. It's like, I'm going to come in a bad position either way, no matter how you rank things. I'm just not doing that well. I think red's doing okay. I think blue and gray are doing okay. What about white? Is white fucking hosed? They don't have a lot of planets. They don't have a lot of money on them. They don't have a lot on their ship. I'd say white is kind of looking at coming in last no matter what. And what do they care if yellow wins or someone else? Now, gray is doing their thing. They're closing the game out. Red and blue, well, blue wants to capture some more points. Red, of course, would love to defend Helios, but how do we fucking defend it? Well, Rolter. Haha, there we go. So let's tilt red and think about them real hard here, because they have a chance to get in. Now, what do they need to do to get in? Red would move 1, yellow would move 1. Red would move 1, yellow would move 1. Take Helios. Then yellow's in trouble. They'll be able to take Helios's money, but Helios's money isn't what's really at issue. There's only $15 on there. Well, $150. The issue is, from Helios, once he has that, can he get anywhere? Well, probably not, because the only thing that's really within range that he can reach is Uhune. So I don't think yellow can win, but if there's crew cards, etc. available, he might be able to. Red's got to decide. Collecting up this income, not really worth anything anymore. Ion is not going to fall. Rolter, I think, is not going to fall, because I think that comes from Langdorf. I don't think anybody's following that path. I don't know what I have at Rolter. That would be a worthwhile check. What kind of troops do I have there? Almost nothing. I have nothing on board my ship. I have no money. Red basically has nothing they can do about anyone. So I'm just going to move down to Weenon because I can't do a damn thing about what yellow's up to. Blue, white, and yellow all move towards the goals they're planning on sacking. It's an interesting facet here. All of yellow's money from 5 different planets that they're producing is worth what Weenon produces. I kind of got, no other wealthy planets out there, but this I think is the wealthiest of the wealthy at the plus 200. I think I've seen some plus 100s, but yeah, this is just the star. Balzarin takes it. Now, if I was really worried about yellow here, I would have headed for Armenian instead. But I would have made that choice up here. But yeah, I went and grabbed Balzar. So yellow maybe has some possibility because there's going to be some crew cards out there for them, which may be something that I wish to take into mind. So I got to kill 5. I could kill 3 colonists, and that would pretty much guarantee that I'm not adding anything of value to yellow's hand. Or I could kill less stuff. Let's see. What does Balzar go to? Balzar goes to hell. Yeah. Black hole number 4, which is over here. Might be able to take Velcrom from there. Keeping the richest card, I think, is my best move. I'm not going to be able to colonize anything with blue. Which means I drop this on Balzar, I grab the money from Balzar. And we'll proceed from there. Drops everything into Helios. Might not be enough, but 8, 3, 6, 8. I have a medical officer left, and I've dumped a pile more troops for interesting stuff to happen. You'll take this back and flag Helios. Oh, I need another flag. This is at a really interesting position. I got 3 turns before the game ends. Helios takes me to Uhune, which yellow knows needs, I believe, a science and an astrogator. I might be able to get that from my draw. Might win the game that way. After that, goes to Quidar. Unfortunately, then it goes to Langdorf, and Langdorf is definitely not any good. Quidar, I don't know what Quidar needs, but again, or I don't know, it might be Quislar. It is likely, it's possible that I can get in there in 2 moves. There's also the possibility that I could go for Kismiel, which I know what it needs, a medical and a linguistic. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, too far away. And that's the thing. Most of the planets, there's very few that are really tightly packed. 3 is about the most. So if I can't jump somewhere, I'm not getting it, is what I think it happens to. So I will take my chance on the two jumps that I have all lined up, and maybe I draw the stuff I know I need for whichever the next one is. Uhune. And Queenslar is more just a complete crapshoot. If I have to make it to there, I'll have like a couple of shots at it. We're gonna pause for a bit here because batteries are running down. Damn it, I got the reset the date and time issue on my camera again. Okay, on to red. So I collected the cash, including the big payout from Wendon. There's a fair size force here. Let's take a look at the world. So I don't think red has anything they can do. Wenian takes me to BH1, which is up here. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know precisely what's going to happen, but to avoid excess efforts where they're of no value. If gray is definitely going to Zella, I'm not going to be able to make it in time for anything important to happen going in that direction. And you can see everything else is at least 4 away. So I'm just going to leave my troops there and my ship there and not do shit. Just collect up my cash. In the unlikely event that this is attacked, all the money's going to be on board my ship, so no big deal. And just, there's nowhere to go, you know. There is nothing I can do of any value with red. Similar position. The game is just getting too close. Gray moved. 1, 2, 3 to get to Kudkat. 1, 2 to get to Zella. I'm not going to get to do anything. Again, I'm going to skip. Why? Well, because if I do anything and buy materials, buy more soldiers and whatnot, all I'm doing is putting myself in a position where I'm losing money on those cards. And I want to haul in as much cash as I possibly can. Now, let's take a look at the world and make sure I don't need to better defend Balzar, although I don't know if I will. Oldkin is the only place they could get to it very quickly. Nothing goes to Oldkin right now, so yeah, we're done too. Jana 6 and wipes it out, taking the cash from there, hurting blue a little bit. Blue's doing pretty well, honestly. So with a fair amount of planets, etc. So this probably helps a lot of people. Make them feel a little better that I took that. Jana 6. Do we see anything? I can't do anything yet. But from there, it goes to Darien 2. So there is a possibility I could attack something else. Here's the question. Do I want to fund a whole bunch of cards, and this is for next turn, but do I want to fund a bunch of cards to attack Darien 2, which is worth 200 bucks? I mean, the cost will probably be, depending, I have like a 2-pointer there, it's going to be at least 300 bucks because I'm going to want 4 cards to get there, to have a decent chance. So I'm going to lose money off the deal no matter what. So I would say no. I'm not really all that concerned about hurting blue in particular. It's a different calculus. I shuffled the deck because I thought the obvious is I want to buy all the cards I can and see if I can achieve that colonization. Because if I get it, I win the game. And that's this turn for Uhune, and next turn for Quilzar. I know what I need for Uhune. Makes this really tempting. On the other hand, yellow has a lot of money. All those planets have collected up a decent amount of money in the couple of turns that have gone by. So I'm looking at 2,000 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In hand, which is pretty good. Got close to 4 here, close to 3 here. But, you know, I'm in the running for all that. And on top of that, I got another 1,000. I got a couple more $1,000. I think I win the game with either, well, if I don't spend the money. What if I spend the money? I have 6 extra planets. You know, I mean, that's another factor in here. There's another 600 on top because of all the planets I have. So I think I could just put the game in my pocket. On the other hand, if Gray doesn't want to end this, if they decide to go up to Talus or something like that, because I've kind of made this calculation and don't move, I may lose my opportunity for the game to end in my victory. So I think I'm going to win even if I spend for the cards. So I'm going to do it. Magic draw is Uhune needs Science and Astro Soldiers. I don't have any of those, but I draw 4. I don't get any of them. That sucks. I will leave a colonist behind, I guess. Helios doesn't really matter too much, although I wouldn't like to see it fall easily. Rolter can get there. It's too far away for anybody to reach, so I'll take the extra colonist. I'll go to Uhune. I'll make sure that I had that right. So that's not colonizable. But by moving that way, I've done something that helps shield Gray from kind of realizing that, hey, yellow actually is likely to win. Now, Gray doesn't actually give a shit. Like I said, they were kind of looking at trying to go for second anyway, because they can't do better, and other people are producing money at faster rates than they are. So they just want out of this with as good a placement as they can get. White just wants out of this at this point, right? You know, they just don't see a way of catching up. Although, you know, like an interminable game of Titan where one person is way ahead but just can't catch the other person, there's sort of nothing that you can do here. You know, it's like, at some point or another, maybe people would just say, screw it, let's end this, you know? And here we're using it by the mechanism. It might just be, come on, let's just quit. This is stupid. You know, this is not going to end like games of diplomacy do, for example. Same kind of thing. Vague worry. What has Gray been up to? Like, I have a worry that there should be more money on red, that I've been putting money in Gray's pile because it's sitting right next to Wendian at some level or another. I don't see how that's possible, though. I really don't. Red pulled all this in. Yeah, I just don't think it's possible. But I almost did it this time, sitting there. And there's the possibility that maybe there's one that I did last turn. Collecting money, this is beginning to feel like the end game in an 18xx game, some of them at least, where there's nothing left to do. You really just calculate the runs and multiply them out for how they happen. And, you know, maybe some little thing changes, but for the most part, I'm just slapping down the money. Hello, another shot at winning on Quizlar. I doubt that I have it. Or as a science officer, do not have. Where does Quizlar go to? Quizlar goes to Langsdorff, which is already mine. So yeah, nothing exciting is going to happen here. Goes into the last planet, Zella. Let's see. I don't have anything to colonize it with, which is sort of a shame. I could have brought stuff from, where did I come from? Velcron. We'll see if I could have gotten something. There's no harmful life forms. So had I brought a single colonist with me, which I had, I would have achieved an extra 100 plus my income from that space, so another 150. So again, we're going to see, like, maybe I stole an extra 250 here from him. But so if it's really close, there are a couple of errors that took place here. There were reasons not to strip an extra card from Velcrom, even just a colonist for 2 points, because it could have been attacked, conceivably. Turns each time around is a big deal, so it's important that this Zella jump not be discovered yet, because yellow was able to pull in one last turn of income. Now, the game ends immediately when it ends, so 3 of the 4 players in position, because gray is the second player in order. One of them's been knocked out. But three of the players sort of lose a turn. How big a deal is that? It's not really. I mean, think about Monopoly or a whole bunch of other games where somebody, well, Monopoly doesn't really count because it goes the wrong way. But any kind of game where you have a fixed point goal and everyone's not allowed a catch-up turn or whatever. Here, however, 2 players definitely have a slight advantage over the others. Things you can do to fuck with that, like you could say, well, let everybody else at least get their turn of income, Sure, it means that maybe somebody didn't lose a planet or something. So that might be a reasonable option there. All right, so we're going to see where Zella goes to. It kind of doesn't matter. Kismiel. So, because again, I didn't bring anything with me. Kismiel, we already know about. It's not going to be easy to colonize. I would not have brought the stuff with me for that. And that is the end. Now it's time to do the counting, and because the dealing's done, I guess. To make things simple, I'm just going to pull all the cash from each of the planets onto the player who owns it, make the change, and then give them an additional amount of points for however many planets they have. Say, I looked at each one in order, going from what I thought would be the lowest to the highest, and I guessed it completely right. All right, so our winning was yellow with 5250, with 4650 in pocket. Second was actually gray with 4800. They might have stolen some, but it didn't make much difference because if you look, red was only a 4200, then 4000 for blue. All of those feel fairly close. Poor white, yeah, so far behind, 1850. Of course, at least they made it through the game, which is better than you can say about green. I think it would be valuable to keep track of who has, what things you've discovered in written information to begin with. This map was invaluable in terms of, tracing out what the different jump routes were going to be. I've been through all that again and again and again. In terms of the actual play, something always feels a little funny about a game that it comes to a sort of a different style of play right at the ending. And we definitely saw that here. Not in the sense of like 18XX, the different style of play is just sort of well, I got nothing to build that'll make me money, fine. But here it's more of a, well, I know the ending is coming, so there's absolutely no reason for me to do anything to anyone, to hunt out for them. Where you actually save money, and I guess you could say the same with 18XX. You kind of, well, I'm not going to build track through the mountains. I'll never make it, that kind of thinking, where it feels like the game's been truncated due to reasons that, it's an automatic end of game that just feels kind of artificial. That's always a little problematic. I don't know how much impact it really has, but it leaves you with this kind of bad taste in your mouth at the end of the game. It's kind of hard to talk about, what kind of strategy there is. There's always this balancing act between, what I'm expending, is it worth what I'm getting for it? If you're exploring a new planet, you might be spending a couple of cards. That's a couple hundred credits there. You might be having to spend an additional cost. And what you get is 50 credits per turn until somebody takes it from you, and not even really that. You get 50 credits per turn clustering on the planet until somebody takes all that money from you. And then you get nothing. Good day, sir. But if you don't colonize, you don't have an opportunity to start churning the cards. But there may be a reasonable strategy in this game that's much more piratical than what I took. The thing is that these movement links, unless you get unlucky and have somebody drop in behind you on the movement link, probably keep you pretty separate from everyone else. But because they are really just straight linear directed graphs until they're not, but the key is you could just luck into or unluck into, depending on which side of it you're on, into running into somebody else's home planet where they started from. That planet likely won't be well defended. It'll likely have a lot of cash on it, and boom, bonanza. There is a fair amount of room in this game, though, for targeting people. Once you know that somebody's ahead, once you know that somebody's got something, it's not as trivial. In a lot of war game-ish type things, it's very trivial to look and say, oh, so-and-so's ahead, we'll attack his territory. Getting to attack someone's territory, getting to take their stuff is harder in this game because of the enhanced movement that comes from the linked lists of jump routes. I feel like that additional feature, the movement feature of the game, is what is exciting here. That's what needs to be highlighted. And in and of itself, you wouldn't want to say, oh, let's make a really much more complicated game of that. I think that the level of simplicity that this holds is actually pretty much optimal. It throws you with something that's complicated to deal with otherwise very, very simple mechanisms that would be too simplistic in a normal, 4X type game, right? But that one twist is enough to make everything work out and create a very interesting sort of puzzle for the players, and an evolving one. I have some concerns and whatnot. So that trick of the movement pattern, it's not particularly believable that there are one-way wormholes all over the place connecting everything, and only one of them to and from each planet and whatever. But once you accept that, a very, very simple system otherwise works where it wouldn't have worked if you allowed, if you limited it to just the free movement and got rid of the jump gates. The free movement would be boring as hell, right? There's things, that players are going to want to say, oh, but why don't we have space combat? Why don't we have this? Because we don't need it. This is a really, really sort of a weird little niche game. It's not giving you. It's giving you a game framework to play in, and that's it. And one that I think can generate some really, really interesting circumstances. Unfortunately, and we'll get to this in the review certainly, the components and whatnot are so shitty. The support in terms of not telling people how to manage the game means that you really kind of have to fight your way through, like I did, the first few turns to realize, hey, how do I actually play this thing? How do I play this so that it's not an ultimate nightmare, right? All right, that's good enough. We'll get to the review, but I've got to do my my daily tasks, and well, I'm in the middle of an event and raid, so they're going to be pretty heavy today.